Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast folk. Those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man. How would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Figure Booth here, where we talk about the modern day collector and the ups and downs that they face. We go over pre-orders, we share our plastic confessions, and from time to time we do interviews with those in the toy community. My name is Josh, aka Prime to the First, and I'm joined by my friend co-host Figure Fan _ Nate. Say hello, Nate.
Question?
It was a question. I didn't know if I was gonna go with the fan flock Nate.
Fan flocked.
Yeah, there's
negative Nate,
Nick or
Neck Nate,
Nick or Nate, Nick or Nate, Nick or Night Nate. Like, there's so many awesome
Nick
names.
And Nate. I like that one too. Yeah, this is at figurefan _ Nate, and you've reached episode 79, which we're calling "Saved by the Booth."
Ooh, Saved by the Booth. That's a callback.
Yeah,
it's a
80s,
throwback.
90s
It's a
callback.
reference.
90s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
90s.
Callback.
Yeah. Some
Yeah,
good stuff.
Talking about really how times are changing with, I think, collecting. As you look at the younger generation coming into collecting, not really the same kind of mentality maybe as some of the OGs, and just kind of like, just really looking at why is collecting changing? Why are people sort of changing the mentality? We've talked about this before. You go and you get toys at Target or something. Is it for me as an adult or is it for the kids? And it's really it seems like more of an adult thing now. Yeah. For action figures, not as many kids getting involved. And I know there are kids that do action figures and things like that, and do some negotiating at shows. Yeah, do some negotiating. 12-year-old.
But the topic was recommended by one of our listeners, right?
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Albert. He commented on our Love and Plastic episode. Nice. And, just wanted to kind of analyze how collecting has changed, why people maybe that are, coming up aren't as interested in toys, or maybe just, why are things different now?
And it is, I could definitely relate to that only because I have kids of my own and they're about that age. Like my son, I have 3 kids, right? Mm-hmm. My oldest is 24. I almost forgot how old he was. 24. And then I have an 11-year-old and then my 7-year-old. My daughter, she's the youngest. And she's really right now into like plushies, and she likes like anything that's, it's so funny, anything that she sees on YouTube that any like little kids unboxing, like those little mystery packs or stickers, anything girly, she's all into. So, okay. But then my 11-year-old son, he comes and goes into these phases of like either Legos. Right now he's on this Pokemon kick, and he can't decide whether it's just all video games or he wants to do some Pokemon cards. And it's just like he's trying to discover like what his latest addiction is, because he's gone through these phases where he was really into dinosaurs, like almost any kid. Like I remember I went through my Hot Wheel phase, I went through my dinosaur phase, but I think I was consistently always collecting action figures. Like my stuff was always either what was on Saturday morning cartoons, Thundercats, Silverhawks, X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman animated series. Like that's what my childhood revolved around. And right now he doesn't have that type of routine where he's like waking up early in the morning to watch these cartoons. Instead, he'll just jump on and just watch his YouTube feed, and he'll be like, oh, this is what this kid is talking about. Like he'll go onto Minecraft and he'll just like be Minecraft out for like a month or two, and then he changes, and it's like Roblox. So I take him to the toy store, and it's just like, like this is what they were unboxing. I want to unbox it too. And I'm like, but you already know what's in it. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, what?
Just want to have my own experience, Dad.
Yeah, it's like it's this whole I can't relate to that where
Uh-huh.
when I was in his shoes, I wanted to emulate what I saw on the cartoons. I wanted to have the whole team, you know. And I
Right.
think that the collecting is definitely different where I sometimes think about it, I'm like, man, if when he as he grows older, is he still going to be collecting? Or is he going to be like, it was a phase and it was something that I did as a kid? Like, I don't know. Part of me is,
Yeah.
I feel a certain way.
Right. Well, I think you make a good point. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, there was like these huge marketing pushes from
Yeah.
toy companies,
Oh,
all the
yeah.
way to the point of creating cartoons around their toys. You know,
Mhm.
they would like, hey, we want to do this toy line. Let's
Yeah.
create a cartoon
Yeah.
around this idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we got so much of that growing up with commercials and, you know, it's kind of just being pushed in your face all the time
Yep.
that it, at least I know for me in Prime, it really like hooked us.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like GI Joe, Masters of the Universe, TMNT,
Yeah.
Mattel. You know, the
Oh,
Kenner
yeah.
Batman stuff. I remember Mighty Max commercials growing up that would make me want to get that stuff, and you know, you just all these old commercials that are pushing these toys and pushing like go out and to your local KB Toys or go out to your local Toys R Us and pick it up. And you know, you don't
Yeah.
have like this YouTube social media environment back then where people are opening things up. You can see what's inside of it.
Yeah.
So it felt like more of a personal experience, you know, that
For
you had
sure.
to go out and kind of discover that yourself. Like, I
For
want to do what
sure.
these kids in the commercials are doing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Because you would I remember watching the show and then the commercial would air and the kid was playing with like the whole playset, you know? I
Yeah.
remember those Kinder commercials would be like Batman, and I just had seen 89 Batman, and then all of a sudden there's Batman and the Batmobile and he's fighting Joker, and it's like, oh man, I can
Yeah.
recreate that whole scene straight out of the movie. I was like, oh, I need to get taken to Toys R Us like ASAP. Like, you know, so it was just such an epic time as a kid. I mean, right now as an adult, it's almost like that scene at a Step Brothers. It's like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we would have had this when we were 8? No, even better. Got it when we are 40. You know, it's like we
Right.
have the resources to buy whatever we want. But imagine like as a kid, I remember going to Toys R Us and it's just like walls and walls of action figures where at one point I was like, man, I would love to just live here, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy. Like I think that whole era from 80s to 90s where you had things like the Indian in the cupboard board where you would put the figure inside and he would come to life. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
like pre Toy Story stuff where
Yeah.
he came to life. And I don't know, it's just this whole like you said, like they hooked us from such an early age where your imagination was constantly being fed. The marketing was just massive because you had so much distribution on the figures being pushed in your face. You had
Mm-hmm.
literature, comic books, or these cheesy little books, or you know, just t-shirts, plushies, like you name it. We had, you know, I remember the WWF wrestling pillows. Like I was such an Ultimate Warrior fan.
Oh yeah,
Like I
yeah.
had the plush pillows. I was just smacking my younger brother with it. You know, I wanted the cheesy plastic face covering and with the cheesy like super
Mm-hmm.
thin ass like duster, and it would rip as soon as I put it on. I'm like, God dang it. You know, it was just like
The
it
cheapest
it was
piece of
the cheapest.
plastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible quality, but the minute you got it, I'm like, I'm gonna turn to the ultimate. Like, I can gorilla press him right now, and you know, I'm throwing my younger brother across the room and stuff, and we're doing all these wrestling moves. But it was you had the accessibility that you would go to the store, and if you wanted an Ultimate Warrior figure, boom, he'd be there. Or you know, and it was even like small lines. Like I remember Cops and Crooks. I was probably like 11 or 12, and I was really into Cops and Crooks.
Mm-hmm.
I had went to Toys R Us, and my older brother got into it too, and we were able to finish the whole entire collection like maybe in 2 weekends, you know. And it was
Yeah.
that easy where I can just pick up like, oh, today I'm gonna get this villain or this hero, and I know that when I come back next week, they'll either restock or he'll be there. It was just such an easy time to be a collector. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
now I take my kid. I'm like, hey, we better decide which one of these is rare, or you better like because if I don't get it, like Big Al's gonna come and get it, and he's gonna flip it on eBay. Like we need to,
Right.
it's crazy. My daughter's like really into Sonic right now. That and we went to the store and apparently like there's this Sonic figure that certain people are collecting, and we missed out. And she was like, now of course she wants it because again she saw it on YouTube, and I'm like, well now I'm not gonna pay like triple the price for that, so we're gonna have to
Right.
wait. So yeah, it's just it's crazy I sometimes feel like, especially with my daughter, she has no idea what a Toys R Us is and has never been to one. She's like, what? There's a store that's all toys?
Mhm.
Like, is that Disneyland? I'm like, no, but I did feel like I was thinking of Disneyland.
Yeah, it's sad because that has gone away almost entirely. Is the retail store that's fully devoted to toys. You know,
Yep.
you see these smaller local stores,
Right.
but there's not. It's not supported on the big retail level anymore. And you know, I think the nail in the coffin for that was the death of Toys R Us. We just saw it,
Yeah.
fade away. And Macy's trying to bring it back. It's just
That.
not really the same thing at all. And it makes me a little sad for the kids nowadays. Like they're
Yeah.
not getting that experience of being a kid
Yeah.
and the discovery of these new toys. And like I talked about, there wasn't like YouTube, or I couldn't go on the internet and figure out, okay, what does this come with? And
Right.
what do people think about it? And, what else is going to be released? It was more of like personal discovery. I want to go out and find it
Yeah.
and play with it
And then
myself.
you flip the box back and you see the rest of the line. You're like,
Yeah.
oh man. Or
Yeah.
you see, hey, come in, wave 2, and you're like, oh, like that's so cool. You see the mystery shadows of what the next couple
Right.
figures are. It was
Right.
just, I don't know. To me, it was just such an experience, just because you didn't know anything. Yeah, to your point,
No.
we didn't know anything. We just saw the commercial, got hooked, bugged mom and dad to take us to Toys R Us.
Yeah.
I would run down. I remember running down the aisle, passing up all the video games, and then making my way. Like I knew, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like 10 steps to the right, and then make a left, and then
Yep.
that's the first, aisle on the right. It was stuff like that where I had my Toys R Us planned out. And then you go there and you're looking for your section. You're like, all right, cool. Yeah, here's all my figures. That's the time where you're just like,
Mhm.
you're like level 10. You're just like maxed out,
Yeah. There wasn't like an Amazon just to go on
No.
and your parents could just buy it for you. And I remember my mom would make it like a reward if I got like a good
Yeah.
grade or
Yeah.
something, I achieved something. Like, okay, well, we can go to Toys R Us, you can get one toy. And then I would spend
walk
like
a
an
mile in
hour.
snow.
Yeah.
Chop down like 10 trees. Like
Exactly.
clear the lot of pine
Right.
trees and
Mow
grow
the
a beard,
grass.
and then come and see me.
Right.
Go change the oil on the car. I don't care if you're 6. Figure it out, and then when you do that, you're gonna get taken Toys R Us. Here's a nickel. No,
But there was kind of that exchange where it made
there
you sort of
was.
value what you're getting and made it even
Yeah.
more exciting. Like, okay, I did all this work. I've done everything I need to do. Now I'm going to go to Toys R Us and hunt around. And you would
it was
spend time
epic.
just hunting just so you could look at stuff and see it in person and, mess with
epic.
it. It was
My
awesome.
my older brother would always take me and my younger brother to Toys R Us every, it wasn't every day, but it was something special. But on our birthdays, he would always tell me like, hey, you can pick whatever you want. You just got to carry it. You got to be able.
Mhm.
You got to carry it. We're not like, you have to take it up to the register, and I'll pay for whatever. So every time on my birthday, I would go for like, I'd swing for the fences, and that's how I got my 89 Batmobile. Like,
Mhm.
and I remember being like 8 and just trying to carry this massive box, and I was like, if I drop it, I couldn't get a figure. I couldn't figure out how to carry the box and put a figure on top of it. So like I teamed up with my younger brother. I'm like, hey, my brother would always get something. He'd get something much smaller. I'm like, hey, you get like a Joker, get a Batman, or get Robin, and then I'll get the
Mhm.
Batmobile, and then we'll like on your birthday you get something big, and I'll get the other. Like we'll team up. So I'm
That's
there
smart.
like struggling with this Batmobile bit. We got home, me and him, we looked at each other, we're like, yes, we got the Batmobile, and it was cool. Like that's a lot of times that's how I got like some of the Zords from Power Rangers. That's how I got
Yeah.
some of the play sets for my Motu stuff. I was just like struggling, but I'm like, all right, I can do this.
Mhm.
And my younger brother was like, I'm gonna try to get this. I'm like, just try to get a vehicle. Go for the vehicles. I'm like, you're too tiny. Go for the vehicles. But it was awesome. We always, again, it was such a blast and such a
Mhm.
treat that now it's just that magic is gone. Where my
Yeah.
kid's like, he's on Amazon and he's like, hey dad, look, they got it here.
Right.
Just can we put it in the cart? I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's like,
Sometimes I want to keep that magic from Christmas. And he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I found it. It's cheaper here. And I'm like, all right.
yeah.
Pulling the screen back and seeing the wizard, like, great.
Our Amazon was like a Sears catalog or a toy catalog
Mhm.
that would come,
Yeah.
months before Christmas because they were
Yeah.
strategic that way. And I remember it was like very thick, and I would spend hours just going through that thing, looking at what I wanted for Christmas, circling stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and then giving it to my mom, like, okay, this is the things I
Yeah.
wanted for Christmas. And
Yeah.
they would show like maybe a little snippet of what it was, but
Yeah.
that was a great promotional tool to kind of tell you what's going to be in stores come Christmas time.
Right.
so that you could prepare for it. And
Yep.
it was just a whole experience, to Prime's point. You know, it was the commercial and getting it at home, and then, you know, hunting for it in the store and opening it
Right.
up and having your own experience. And I remember going to my friend's house and getting exposed to different toy lines that they were collecting. And then we would
Yeah, for sure.
bring all of our toys together and make
Yeah.
scenes and stuff. And it was just
Yeah.
it was an experience, a key part of my childhood. It makes me a little sad when you look at kids nowadays. I know there's other things that they have, but it's just
Right.
not the same. And it
It's
makes
not
me,
the same.
yeah, it makes me wonder, you know, why is that? Because I feel like a lot of us are sort of hardwired to be a collector
Uh-huh.
or something. You know, it
Yeah.
kind of goes back into our blood all the way from like back in time in the Stone Age when you're like collecting food and supplies. You know, it's like this thing that we've been doing forever.
Yeah.
And I think because we forget stuff so much, it makes you want to seek out like these tokens or,
Uh-huh.
you know, these memorials of experience that you've had that have had a significant impact in your life. So that's where like this nostalgia that we're talking about comes from. Now that
Right.
we're older,
Right.
the same kids that were collecting the stuff, like me and Prime were talking about, this same experience that you had when you're younger, you're having that experience as an adult where you can
Right.
appreciate it, you have the money for it. But this younger generation is still maybe not as interested. And the practice of collecting objects is really maybe at this like precipice where it's like you don't see a lot of people that are going to be doing that as much anymore. You know, hoarding isn't. You know, you get these TV series like Hoarders, which are
Yeah.
sort of putting a bad light on having too much stuff. There's more
Yeah.
limited space. You have feels like you have more limited time. Maybe that's playing a part into it, but it just makes you kind of concerned for the future of the industry. Is it going to be as strong as it was once before? Is this why we're seeing these price increases? Is this why companies are having a hard time hitting that bottom line? Because I feel like back in the 80s, 90s, it was so big and so promoted because it was such a lucrative business.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
nowadays, maybe it's just not that way
No.
anymore.
Yeah, and I think like again, seeing all the marketing that they did and showing like these kids playing with them, like you want as a kid, you wanted to emulate that. You wanted to have the
Right.
play set. You wanted to have your friends come over, and it was it was a whole experience. Whereas now, it's much different. Where, like for example, from my perspective, my kids are having that experience because they're seeing it via YouTube. They're seeing these other kids have everything, like have all these unboxings. They're constantly buying stuff. So I almost feel like the mindset is kind of changed, where it's not so much as, oh, I want to collect it just because it's for my own personal, but I want to have
Mm.
it because that's what I'm seeing. They're buying a bunch of mystery, I don't know, these fucking dinosaur eggs that they're doing right now. Like I want to have all these fucking dinosaur eggs, and it's just it almost switches from like a collector standpoint. And I think there's a very fine line between being a collector and a hoarder, where you're just buying shit for the sake of buying shit because you're trying to keep up, or you feel
Right.
some type of like FOMO, and you need to impress, I don't know, the fake you, and you want to make yourself feel good, like you're trying to fill a void that's empty, that's going to be empty for a very, very long time. And some
Mm-hmm.
of us have fallen into that pitfall as collectors, where you start collecting and you lose sight of your goal, and you just like you become a hoarder and you have hella shit, and you look back and you're like, like what's going on? But I think it's more common now just because we don't have these brick and mortars where it delivers that experience. It's so social media driven that it's that instant gratification. The minute we get that, like, cool, I posted my haul. All right, what's my next post? I need another haul. I need a bigger haul. I need a bigger and better haul.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need, a lot of us, we fall into this content driven mentality where like, and I think I heard Trevor talk about this the other day, where he's been on a couple streams, and I stalk him low key, but he said he's not really focused on his channel of like meeting that criteria that you have to be
Mm-hmm.
constantly putting up content. It's more like he's looking for that organic growth, where it's like, hey, if the community is there and he has that organic support, I think that's much more meaningful. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe, and that resonates with me more because I can appreciate that more, and that's going to pull me to show even more support.
It's
So
true.
the younger generation is more like, hey, I need to be posting every day, or I need to do a reel, I need to do a story, I need to do a better haul than Nate. Like I'm gonna go and buy a ton of shit and then unbox it, and then I'm gonna be left with all this crap. And there's no sentiment. You were just recently on a live, and I think the other your other Nate, Corona 4, he had said something about how with collecting figures, the toy photography aspect now as we're older, it gives you that ability to really interact with them, and there's that engagement where, and I at first I was like, wait, what's he like? I had to let that marinate, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, that's actually like that's us now as adults playing with our figures. Where as a kid, you would sit there, you would get that figure, you set up the play set, and you'd play with it, you'd interact it, you let your imagination just kind of go wild. Now I do find myself buying it, boop, throw it up on the shelf. Okay, what's the next one? Buying it, throw it up on the shelf. Like, what is that really doing? Like, and that I think last year was a really eye opener for me, where I'm like, I need to enjoy them more. I need to really like engage with my collection a little bit more and not fall into this hoarder phase. Because again, I feel like there's a very thin line between being a collector and then you're a full-time hoarder. You're just buying just to buy shit, just to entertain people. But at the end of the day, is that really what your collection is about? It's about entertaining who's on the other side. Like, it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. So Trevor, Nate, like, man, you guys really gave me some golden nuggets, because those two pieces of content like really resonated. It's been like not bugging me, but it's been like dwelling on me for good reasons. It's really been kind of making me take another look at, and making sure, again, checking my compass, making sure it's going in the right direction, and I'm really more focused on the organic growth of like this show and the organic growth of my collection. But then also, am I enjoying it? Like, I really want to get back into toy photography. So I gotta, again, set that time for it. So yeah, I mean, I feel I feel like that those are some of the contributing factors where the younger generation doesn't have that appreciation to sit down and play with their toys. They're so focused by social media.
I think that organic growth is really important to focus on too, and it makes me think of other things. When people do giveaways, things like that, like the giveaway, follow my account, share it with somebody else, and you do that enough, you're going to have this huge list of, like, I guess, quote unquote fake followers, people that are only following you because they feel like they're going to get something. And that's not organic growth, because then those people won't interact with your photos, they won't jump into the live stream, they're not going to be active listeners, which is what you're really looking for. So, are you, to Prime's point, are you collecting all this stuff to try to get these sort of fake followers that are like, oh, this guy's got all the latest and greatest stuff, he's just I'm going to follow him because he's got these new videos, but they're not really like fans. They're not really like active in your community. And for me, that's what I want. I want people to be more active and involved in the conversation, and not just here because they feel like they're going to get something. And I feel social media has had a big part about that. It's the main focus for a lot of people. It's not really about the collecting anymore. It's about building that social media presence, and it becomes very materialistic almost. I'm more successful because I have more things than you. That's a weird definition of success, is I've got more toys than you do, or I've got the newest figure before you do. If that's how you're defining your success, then that's kind of a sad life to me.
Miss the point.
You're missing the whole point. You're not enjoying it for what it's really supposed to be. You're just making it a job. It's more of like, this is a goal to get 10,000 followers, and the way I'm going to do that is buy as many toys as possible and do all these video reviews. And it's just, it comes across as very fake for me. But I feel like that might be why some of the younger generations maybe not as involved in the collecting culture as much, because it's not really about the figure, it's about the social media presence.
Definitely. And look at the lines that are out there, like, are really heavy. You go down your Target aisle, you see Marvel, you see G.I. Joe, Motu right now, TMNT, you see you see wrestling, Star Wars. Like, my kid, he has no idea, like, wrestling is like, and one, because I don't know, I got out of wrestling like when I was a teenager. The minute, like, and I grew up with like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, NWO, Degeneration X. Like, the minute, like, all that, I don't know, I was like in high school and I graduated, like, that's it. Then it completely changed, and then I just lost interest in it. So like, my kid doesn't, the other day I was showing up some old school like Macho Man reels and some of his best interviews and stuff. And he was like, "Who's that guy? Like, who's that guy?" I had a Ric Flair shirt on, and he's like, "Why is that guy saying woo?" And I was like, "What? Like,
You're like, oh
let me
no,
show
kid,
you."
don't
And I
say
was
that out loud.
some of his persona, And he's like, "Oh, why is he dancing around? He's a what? Wheeling, dealing, hollering, who? Like, what is he?" And so I'm like showing him all this stuff, and he's like, "Oh." He's like, wait, they're smacking each other around. Like why are they in their underwear? And like all these questions. I'm like, I never at once asked that. Like,
right.
to me, I was
stop
just
asking somebody.
entertained.
You're thinking about it too much, kid.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it for what it
I'm
is.
like, you're overthinking it. You're just like your dad. So, like, and you go down the aisles, like everything that's in the aisle star, like it's all geared towards that 80s, 90s kid.
Yeah.
I see his stuff, and he's like, it's I don't know, this fucking like this group of kids or family that plays online, I'm like, again, there's no, I'm like, I have no idea what they're playing, and the mystery figures, it's just them. I think, I don't know,
Mhm.
or like my daughter, she's really into this Poppy Playtime or something. It's like some freaking demented Grover on steroids. Like it's the freakiest shit ever. And she loves this little plushie. And she's like, "Oh, look, it's Poppy Playtime." And like to me, I just think like when my dad, when I was showing him Street Sharks or something, he's like, "What? Fucking sharks on roller skates? Like what? Like what the?" So she's like, "Oh, this is Poppy Playtime. This is Mommy Playtime. I don't know, Kissy Huggy." I'm like, "What's up with these freaking names?" But their
Peppa the
section
Pig.
is probably like one little small peg. That's it. It's like these.
Yeah.
Everything that's online, it's some weird ass stuff, and I'm like, everything else though, you had Ghostbusters, you have Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
and it's just crazy. Mario Brothers right now is like really popular, and even
Mhm.
some of the Fortnite stuff where you see Halo. It's just I resonate with the majority of the stuff that's in the toy aisle, and at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, who's their targeted audience? Is it my 7 and 11-year-old? Because
Right.
when I step back and I look at it, they have a very small section, and the rest of the time we're walking through the toy aisle, they're like, "Oh, Dad, do you have that? What about this? What we go down this other area where they moved NECA into one of the aisles, and it's all plushies." And my daughter's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Oh, that's ET. Oh, that's Elf." Like that. It's all
Like
this stuff that,
more about the characters than they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this guy's cool. Like, who's this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's Gargoyles."
Mhm.
So it's just it's crazy because it does, like my son's like, "Oh, was this based off a movie?" He's like, "Why is he dressed like a girl?" I'm like, "Well, ET had to hide." And he's like, "Wait, who's ET?" And I'm like, I gotta show you the movie. And I'll show it to him. He's like, "That looks freaky. Like he looks weird. I don't want to watch it." And I'm like, and it's so funny. Like it's crazy how a lot of that stuff, yeah, they'll pick up and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Gremlins," and then I have to go into the whole like
Yeah.
background story. So um it has led to some really cool discoveries. Like my 11-year-old, when he was 8 or 9, a couple years ago, he discovered Jaws, and Jaws was his favorite movie for like
Mm.
2-3 years. Like he would watch. He has seen Jaws 1, 2, and 3, and he's like, "Oh, my favorite one's the first one or the second one. I don't know which one." But he would watch it back to back. He freaking loved Jaws. And
That's funny.
to me, it's like it's crazy. It's just so funny. We go down the aisle, and Transformers again, Transformers, GI Joes. I'm like walking back into my childhood. So
Mhm.
with that being said, what's their childhood going to look like? In
Exactly.
20 years, are they going to see this Poppy Playtime, or this family? Are they going to be remaking some of their? I highly doubt that. I
Yeah,
highly
you think
doubt.
your daughter, when she gets older, she's gonna want a Poppy Playtime figure? Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is great
I mean,
nostalgia. Maybe not.
look at TMNT,
Yeah.
like it's been
Oh, it
20 something, it's they've
never
hit
dies for me. Yeah.
Simpsons 30, 35 years, 40 years
Mhm.
anniversary, and we're still like Super Sevens getting their license. I'm like, I want to get them. Like the 8-year-old in me, I'm like, I want to get them all. It's just, to me, that
Yeah.
shows that the 80s and 90s had some iconic stuff that a lot of us that experienced that we can't grow. My kid now, he's learning about the Simpsons. He's like, questions a lot of things like, why are they yellow? But then he starts watching them. He's like, oh, that's really funny. Like, well, he can't. What does he mean? Eat my shorts and stuff like that. So
Your
it's like the
kid's a
lingo.
deep thinker.
Yeah. Oh man, don't even get me started. But the lingo is what he doesn't
Yeah.
really can relate to. But he cracks up at a lot. Nelson picking on Bart and stuff like that, Milhouse and stuff. But yeah, he starts to see some of the stuff. I'll show him like, oh look, Super Seven's doing like Simpsons, or he'll see a picture of Simpsons. He's like, oh, that's those are the Simpsons, right? I'm like, yep. But aside from that, like he's resonating with some of the stuff I grew up with, but he doesn't have his own thing. Like he like Roblox, like really, like what is
Yeah.
that? Yeah,
Well, in hearing you talk makes me kind of sad to realize there are no real original ideas like that anymore. All of that stuff was original back in the day. TMNT and
I mean, look what's coming
G.I.
back. Michael
Joe
Myers from Mars. Come on.
Yeah, Transformers and Alf and E.T. All of those were original ideas.
Barnyard Commandos.
Such a big part of our culture to have this kind of like nerd culture of just these new original ideas, and let's explore it and let's see where it goes. And now it's huge, and let's make toys out of it.
And that's go ahead.
Yeah, and nowadays you just don't see that. They're recycling these old ideas and they're making them worse than they were before, and it's just really sad to see that this is the future of maybe cinema. You're not going to have these new ideas anymore that are supported. You're just going to have like, we just want something that sells. Like, let's just use this idea that we know is popular, slap the label on there and not really put the time and effort to make something special. And that's probably why we're seeing the decline in toys. And also, look where those toys are located when you go into the store. They're located at my level as an adult. I can reach up and grab them, but not little kids.
No,
they're not going to reach up and grab a Marvel Legends. They're looking at these cheaper toys on the bottom that whatever.
It's all that mystery. That mystery. Peppa the Pig. It's all that mystery, like dinosaur crap stuff. It's all like, I don't know. It's just at their eye level, they're seeing like right now. It's not Peppa. It's this other fucking pig. I tip my tongue, but it's this other stupid pig that my daughter's all like crazy about too. This pig again, their section is like so tiny that's all she has. So a lot of times I have to like redirect them. Like my kid, both of them, they've gone through their TMNT phase and they have their favorite turtles. So like I really try to like hone in on that. I'm like, all right, let's write this turtle collection out. Let's get you some turtles. Let's play the turtle video games. Let's show you. Oh man. I showed him the original. My son's like, nope, this is weird. Like, they look weird. Why are they talking? They're really big. Like, they're like, nope. So I had to show him the Michael Bay one. He was like, okay with that. But he did not like the original one. He's like, what? They look. Yeah, he was like, they look so weird. He's like, these are some really bad effects. I'm like, no, they're tangible. He's like, oh, he was just like, yeah, they look weird. He's like, they don't look like turtles. I'm like, what? He barely sat through it. I think he sat through half of it and he was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, this is boring. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's different for us because we didn't grow up with technology like it is now, with CGI. That was never even a thing, So practical was the only way you could do it.
Yeah, and he likes the Michael Bay stuff better.
Which is, oh man, hearing that
I know.
really just kills me. I'm like, oh, Michael Bay turtles? No.
Yeah. I know,
but I get it.
As long as you like turtles, I'm like,
CGI.
you like turtles? Yeah, very heavy. And he's like, oh, okay,
action.
that's Rocksteady. He's like, that's Rocksteady, that's Bebop. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good Rocksteady and Bebop. Like, we didn't get that. We got Toka and Razor, like that.
Right.
He's like, they look like giant puppets. And I was all, what? When I was your age, I was like, oh my god, it's the Ninja Turtles. And he's like, they look like giant puppets. And
pretty much are, kid. They pretty much are.
I'm all, they are. He's like, oh, these look like YouTube videos. And I was like, oh my god.
Sad.
So
it's true though. I mean, it doesn't hold up over time.
It doesn't.
It makes you realize, we are getting older, and the things that we liked are ancient history now. It's just, it's never going to be that way.
And RoboCop was one of my favorites as a kid. Yeah. I tried showing him part one, bits and pieces, because again, then it got really dark, like when he gets killed, and I was like, oh, well, hold on, let me. And he's like, my son's like, what is happening? He's like, he's like, should I be watching this? And I'm like, I saw it when I was your age. I actually saw it younger, but so then I showed him part 2, maybe part 3. I don't know, when he's in the rocket and he's like flying around, and he was laughing the whole time. He's like, those are so cheesy effects. He's like, that's not even good CGI. I'm like, the fact that you know that.
Yeah. Like, we didn't even think about that. It was just more like, oh, cool, RoboCop's flying around.
When he was fighting Ed 209, he was like, what? He's like, that looks like a miniature robot. And I was like, okay, just get out of here.
It's crazy they said that, though, because it actually was a miniature. There's like,
those don't look real. The explosions. He's like, those don't look real. And I'm like, what do you know about real explosions? Get out of here.
See, your kid's smart, though. I mean, he's picking up stuff that we didn't really even think about.
No, it makes me
feel
like,
is that really to scale? Like, I don't know.
When RoboCop was flying over the city, he was like, that looks so phony. And I'm like, can you just enjoy it? RoboCop's flying, he's dropping grenades to save the... He's like, why is everyone fighting and no one's falling? I'm like, I don't know.
It's funny you say that, though. I remember watching RoboCop when I was really young.
Yeah.
And then I watched it as an adult. I'm like, damn, this is dark. Like, the part where he gets killed. And then that part where Ed 209's in the conference room and they're doing the demonstration.
Yeah.
kills somebody in the
Yep.
conference room.
Yeah.
Dark
even
stuff.
when RoboCop goes back and kills all the guys, and the dude, like the acid falls on him, and he's
Yes.
like, all bleh.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like sitting there, I'm like, oh, and my kid's like, what? He's like, what is going? So is he melting? I'm like, yup. And he's like, that's pretty intense. And I was like, yup.
Yeah, really dark. And then even how it ends, you know, he stabs him in the neck, and there's
my kid
blood
was
all
just
over
like,
the place.
I can't. He's like, what the? He's like, why? He's like, why is he doing that? And I'm like, because he's RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop
Dead or
don't give a
alive, you're
fuck.
coming with him.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is crazy though, just seeing, you know, the modern culture now.
Yeah, that would not fly nowadays.
No, that stuff doesn't fly. You know, everything's very much more censored. You can't say certain things. You can't show certain things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the reason why we don't see those new original ideas as much anymore, because it's just
Which is
a
crazy.
very
You'd think we'd
safe
be in a
environment.
much more like open-minded type of environment, because we grew up in such a crazy, like, man, yeah, some of the stuff we grew up watching, it's like we probably shouldn't be watching. So you'd think we'd be much more out there, but we're not. It seems like we've taken steps back to be like, hey, let's
kind of retracted.
Yeah, we retracted. Everyone's like, everyone's friendly. No one kills nobody. Everybody gets an award. You're all our winners. Like, no one's coming dead or alive. Everyone goes alive.
Participation trophies.
RoboCop takes everyone alive,
Yeah,
and no one gets hurt. It's like, what? No, RoboCop, dead or alive, you're coming with them.
Yeah. It'll be interesting how time goes on, you know, how things change if adults are still the main collectors. I mean, we saw that new article that adults account for 1/4 of all toys sold, that kind of thing.
Are my kids going to be 1/4 of that? Like, I doubt that. I think, I don't
I
know
doubt
what they're
that
going to be
too.
collecting. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe more tech driven, more AI, more virtual stuff, you know?
Yeah. I think that's kind of where we're going. You know, the more technology becomes more of a thing, and social media, that's the main focus, and TikToks and Reels.
Potty Mac offer like digital collectibles or
NFTs.
Right. So our collection is just going to be virtual?
Right. Hey, look at my awesome collection. Well, where is it? Oh, it's on my phone.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I'll send it to you. Put on your VR.
Yeah. And I think that's why the minimalism is starting to happen. People aren't collecting as much.
Yeah.
More limited on space, more limited on time.
Yeah. That's true.
Let's keep it all digital so I can show it on my social media, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'll just live out of my closet and just show my collection virtually.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, these are our thoughts. Let us know what you guys think. I think collecting is one of those endless cycles. We're going to see that keep kind of coming back in different ways. You know, if you're not collecting action figures, you know, I started collecting coins at one point.
Next episode.
Cards, you know. Yeah. Some people are into Pokemon cards.
We got to do cards. Yeah, I will talk about cards next time.
Yeah, we got to do cards at some point, because I have a huge card collection still.
I have a really sad story about cards.
You know, where is it going to go 10 years from now?
What's
Where's
next?
it going to go 20 years from now? You know, we're talking about 80s and 90s toys. If I tell a kid that I'm from the 80s, they're like, whoa, you were born in the 1900s? You know, it's just like, I didn't even think about it like that.
Did you see the Mayflower land on Plymouth Rock?
Yeah, right. Like, we're older than we realize.
In the 19th century.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
There's definitely the nostalgia, which is why nostalgia is such a big selling point, because people are looking for what made them appreciate being a kid and living that again. But maybe that's not as much of a thing anymore. Like, what are kids going to be nostalgic about?
Yeah, that's true.
10 years from now, what are Prime's kids going to be nostalgic about? Peppa the Pig? I don't know. Maybe not. Or the other pig that you're talking about?
The other freaking. I can't believe I forgot about the other pig.
Your daughter's going to be very upset.
She's going to be pissed. It's another pig. Has like a Nick Fury patch on it, and goes around and smacks all the players. And it's a game. She's always playing it. Sorry, I let you down. Sorry.
Pig with patch.
20 years from now, sorry. Just leave your resentment down in the comments. Thanks.
I don't know. I'm trying to find out, but I don't know what it is. Let Prime know in the comments, guys.
Don't let me know, because my daughter will let me know.
Right. But yeah, let us know you guys' thoughts. Just kind of a discussion we wanted to have. Thank you to Albert for presenting the idea. I really liked kind of discovering and understanding why maybe it is different. You know, why is the younger generation not as enthused about toys as we once were?
Yeah.
So make sure you guys hit the like button and leave a comment below on your thoughts. What do you think for the future? You know, what kind of figures are going to be collecting 10 years from now? Is it going to be TMNT still?
Toddy
Is it going to be
more
Batman? Yeah.
Maybe Tony Mac will do Batman's for the next 20 years.
Spider-Man sells, so maybe we'll have classic Spider-Man coming out again in 20 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting topic. But yeah, we'll go into our usual topics now with
Cha-ching.
pre-orders.
Woo.
Spending money, budget life.
Let's
talk
go.
about budgets, and then we talk about all the pre-orders that we're
time to sell the cards and sell the coins. Let's get them pre-orders in.
Speaking of nostalgia, and I don't know if Prime is as in this line as he once was, but Thundercats Wave 8.
Oh my goodness! Hey, you know what? I'm still in it to win it. Wily Kit, hells yeah. I wish she would have came with more accessories, but I'm excited that they have Wily Kit. Obviously, Wily Cat's next.
So there's Wily Kit and Wily Cat. I don't have any Thundercats knowledge.
You son of a gun. Wily Kit and Wily Cat. Yep, the two kiddos.
Okay.
And then Hichachi. I think that's the samurai guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Hachiman. Hachiman. I don't know why I said Hichachi. Hachiman. Yeah.
Hitachi.
I don't know, for some reason he was like one of my favorite figures. Between him and Lino, I had that figure, and he did this cheesy like side swipe, like slashing. You put the sword in his hands, and you would hit a button, and then he would just like slice you in half.
Oh, it's cool.
He looks really cool. I think I might have to get him just because he was such a nostalgia figure for me.
Is this him like powering up his sword where he's like putting his finger over it?
I think it's from the episode, because he was only in maybe 1 or 2 episodes. That's what I like. Like they do some figures that had maybe 1 or 2 episodes, or it was like a storyline, or so it was like part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then that was it. You never saw him again. But they made a figure of this guy, and it's cool that they gave you 2 head sculpts, because the original figure came with like a mask that you would actually put on, which fit really good, and then you took it off.
Oh, nice.
So I love that they gave you 2. He was one of my favorite figures. I don't know why necessarily, maybe just because of the slicing action. But the minute I saw it, I was like, damn, I have to get him and Wily Kit. I just wish Wily Kit would have came with some like effects, like more effects, because they had like all these little booby tricks that they would throw. Like they would throw like smoke bombs or just a bunch of gags that they would do on the villains. So I don't know.
Kind of
she comes with like the lasso, and then that's it. But I would have. She had like, I know maybe it might be Wily Cat that came with the slingshot, but they always had like these little bombs that they would throw, and it was just like smoke grenades and stuff like that. So I love that they came with the board. It just makes me again double think on getting Snarf. I really don't want to get Snarf, but this guy, I'm not too familiar with this guy. I don't remember him. Captain Shiner. Yeah. See, I don't remember this guy. Yeah.
Cool that it comes with the folding arms. It's interesting when you see that. Like, okay, well, you can't move that way, but at least they provided the arms.
So some of these characters, like they might have been in an episode or 2, and that's it. Like I'm eager to know if they're gonna make. There was these like Teddy Ruxpin bears that would be in the episode, and they would pop into the episode, or at least the season, like every once in a while. And there was like these little Snarf-sized robotic bears. I'd be interested if they were to make like I could see them doing like maybe like a 3-pack of them or something.
Yeah, and to your point, these are deep cuts now, but
they are really deep cuts.
You realize this is Wave 8.
That's crazy.
They're pretty far into the line now, so you're going to start seeing some very kind of outlandish characters, or characters that maybe in one episode.
Yeah, like there's these mechanical pirates too that I used to have as a kid. That's what I'm waiting for too. Like if they do, I can't remember their fucking names. Like for the life of me, I couldn't. There's 2 of them that I had. One of them just spun around. His gimmick was like he spun, but he literally was like had a tank body, and he had like this mace and like these horns and stuff. Again, there were like these futuristic pirates in the show, but for some reason their figures. I remember I was like going gaga over them. So if they make them, I probably would have to pick them up too, just again for the nostalgia figure. So I'm excited for Wily Kit. I'm definitely picking up Wily Kit so I can complete the team, and then I'm gonna need Wily Cat, which at the end of the day I might need fucking Snarf. So I'll just wait till he goes on sale. Because damn it,
I don't need other things.
Ah man, I gotta you gotta have Snarf just so you can smack him around or something.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much you're still really in the Thundercats.
I'm in it. I mean, like, yeah, I didn't get my Thunder Tank. And, like, I'm kind of over it. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
some reviews. I'm like, it's cool, but do I need it? Like, I think that was very, again, it was a very nostalgia button. I was like, I need to have it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I could
It's
use
kind
the
of a
shelf
saving
space.
grace. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a saving grace. And now I can get some of the other characters that I was kind of like on the fence about.
Mm-hmm.
I got my clear Tigra coming in soon, so I'm
Nice.
excited for that. And then it gives me the ability to pick up these one-off characters like Hechimon. I
Right.
could pick him up,
Right.
and like I wanted to go back and get a couple of other like figures that maybe I was holding off on. And now I can actually pick up, or I can also pick up Silverhawks or any other. Like I would love if Super 7 picked up Dinosaurs, that TV show.
That would be
awesome.
awesome. Yeah. I feel like we're going to see something like that at some point for
Man,
dinosaurs.
or either NECA or Super 7. Pick up Dinosaurs. That'd be freaking.
I think NECA teased it at maybe SDCC or NYCC
Man,
that they had
I
something
would just
under
need the full cast.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
So I showed my son the dinosaurs, and
oh gosh, he's like puppets
I showed
everywhere.
him. No, he was like, "Wait, why aren't none of them wearing pants?"
Oh, Jesus.
He's like, "That kid." He's all, "The kid's just wearing a jacket." He's like, "So," and he's like, "Why is the dad pantless?"
They go to
and
school naked.
And he's like, "They're just all pantless." I'm like, "You just ruined it for me." Like,
yeah, you don't even think about that when you're watching as a kid. But now
dude,
we'll be able to
like,
unsee
it ruined.
it. Like,
I couldn't. We watched one episode. And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Wait, this is weird."
Where are there?
He's like, "They're dinosaurs."
Where are
He's
their
like,
pants?
"Is that supposed to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex?" I'm like, "I think so." He's like, "Why is he so fat?" I'm like, "I don't." So I had to Google up who the main guy, and I'm like, "Oh!" And I started watching. I'm like, "This is like Family Guy." Like,
Mhm.
there's Peter, there's Lois, there's freaking Stu. I'm like, "This is literally Family Guy before Family Guy." But then my son was like, "Wait, if he's supposed to be, why is he bigger than this one? Why is he smaller than the mom? Like the mom's this type of dinosaur." I'm like, "You're too like." He knew all the dinosaurs, right? And he's like, "Wait, how did those two have like that one? That's a different type of species." And I'm like, "I don't know, kid. Like, just fucking watch the show."
You're asking too many questions, kids.
And the son, he's like, "Wait, he's like, he has a jacket and shoes, but he has no pants." And I'm like,
you know, I never
made
even
it
thought
weird.
about all those little nuances. But yeah, there's the kid's like a Triceratops.
No, the daughter's a Triceratops.
Oh yeah,
the kid is like, I don't know what the like,
the dad's
because he has like a mohawk. He has like a mohawk.
Yeah.
But
So
he
maybe
has
he's
a
like
jacket.
a Stegosaurus.
He has like a jacket and then just sneakers, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or in a t-shirt. And he's like, so he's half dressed? He's like, why wouldn't he put pants on?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I don't know. The dad's the same way, just t-shirt and the flannel.
Weird.
And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, so they're all bottomless. I'm like, I guess so. Like,
I guess so. Yeah. They don't need pants. They don't. I mean, if they're not wearing pants, then why are they wearing shirts?
That's what he said.
Right. Like, why even have anything at all?
He's like, why are they wearing clothes? He's like, who's making the clothes? Like, why? Like, he had some, like, he was so distracted by all the little.
To make them more relatable. That's all that was. You know, let's make them look like humans.
Yeah. So dinosaurs. I was like, man, if NECA was to make dinosaurs, that'd be fucking awesome. Are. Like, I'd be killing.
Yeah, I think they are at some point.
What else on the pre-orders?
There's the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 Marvel Legends.
Yep.
What do you think about these?
I'm not a big MCU fan when it comes to collecting figures. I'm excited that they're doing them, but I'm like, easy pass for me.
Adam Warlock's interesting.
Yeah, they're always the thing with MCU figures. I'm not really into them, but they always surprise me. They have really killer sculpts. They have killer articulation. I've lucked out and found most of them on the super like cheap, where like you pick them up for $5 just because there's not. They usually overproduce them. But I've always been surprised. I've really enjoyed them. Even though I've passed on the majority of them, every time I pick them up, I'm like, oh, damn, this is a really fun figure.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to see Rocket as a standalone, in my opinion, especially with the prices the way they are. $27, $28.
Oof, no.
You'd think it'd be paired with like Groot or, I don't know.
That'd be a deluxe.
Peter.
It'd be like $60.
Yeah.
That's cool. The Groot, I like the Groot. The Groot is very cool.
Yeah, he's his own standalone, it looks like.
Yeah, he looks like he's a deluxe, but I didn't remember that he was like that in that Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, the holiday special.
Oh, that's
right. He was already like bulky like that. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, is that a tease? I'm like, and then I saw the holiday special again. I'm like, oh no, he was already like that. So that's cool. I mean, the wings kind of. I'm like, oh, is he gonna grow wings in the movie? I've seen the trailer where he has like all the guns. I'm like, I would have loved that, like some tendrils, so you can put guns in them. They could have used tendrils from Agent Venom or something. But apparently he gets wings in the movie.
Yeah, it's
Again,
funny.
sometimes they spoil it. They spoil them. They
do
like
with
mini
these
spoilers.
figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Groot has changed so much throughout the
Yeah.
movies. He started out as just normal, adult Groot, and then he sacrifices himself and then
Yeah.
becomes baby Groot.
Yeah.
And
I
now
love
it's
that.
like
Now
maybe
he's
is
like
more.
like
I remember in what was it, Ragnarok or one of the other ones?
Yeah,
He's like
Ragnarok.
he's got all
Teenage
this
Groot.
attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
It's
he's
like,
like
whoa.
beefy Groot. He's been hitting the gym. He's like a meathead Groot. I just wish he
Yeah.
would say more than just "I am Groot." And
I
like
am
we don't need
Groot.
Vin Diesel. Come
I
on,
am
like
Groot.
give him like a Grover voice or something.
Yeah,
Get the guy who does Grover to do Groot's voice.
I'm sure Vin Diesel wishes that too. Can he say something other than "I am Groot"?
Yeah, that's
How much has Vin Diesel made from just that one line?
I am Groot. Like, much more than his Street Shark commercial, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. That's funny. That was playing. I saw that in my feed today. The Street Sharks commercial.
Yeah,
He got really into that too. He was excited. We got
like,
Drax.
Shamu.
Yeah, he was into it. Apparently, this is going to be the last movie for Drax, so maybe he dies. Bautista said something about that. I don't know if he dies. Spreading rumors and starting beef. That's what we do here.
Good thing I named my pup Drax.
Yeah, Bautista said that this would probably be his last MCU movie. I think it's part of it is he's having a hard time staying in this shape. Every single movie.
Getting up there. He's a bit
he's getting older now.
Gotta find
maybe why he's wearing more clothes in this movie and not as much of his normal body.
He has a man Spanx under there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, man Spanx, right? Suck it in.
No, yeah, and I mean some of these actors like they've been playing the role for
long time.
Yeah, so Star-Lord, he's getting up there. I'm like, ooh.
It's weird to see the fin on Kraglin.
Yeah. And eventually they gotta start introducing new they're not pumping out the movies as fast as they used to, or and there's obviously there's a lot of logistics behind it because they're trying to storytell. But you saw Avengers and Endgame took such a long time, 10 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an actor nowadays, again, like that the generation of these new actors, they have to start introducing them. Like they introduced Riri, right? In Wakanda Forever. They're starting them out where they're introducing these brand new actors that nobody knows nothing about. They're already going to face a lot of retaliation from the fans, oh, this should be this person, but for example, Steve Rogers, he can't play Captain America for how many, they got to pass the mantle on.
Exactly.
Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. can only be Iron Man for so long. And then you're like, wait, is that really Tony Stark, or is that Stan Lee playing Tony Stark? So I think,
right.
Unfortunately, you got to be a little bit faster, which I love the Disney Plus shows and stuff like She-Hulk and things like that. But if you want to keep the audience hooked on the MCU universe and the storytelling portion, you have to move a little bit quicker or incorporate much more, which again, it's a fine thing to balance. You don't want to do too much and then the story's all all over the place. But then if again, actors, they don't want to be typecasted. I could see someone's oh, I don't want to be fucking Drax for 10 years. I want to, I'm a thespian. I want to be, everything. So
yeah,
it sucks.
It's true. It is weird seeing this new MCU and what it's going to be. It's still not as clear with Kang and everything.
Yeah.
You got Cosmo here as the Build-A-Figure, which is weird. It's why didn't they make Groot the Build-A-Figure?
We went from a big Build-A-Figure from the other way, the Ant-Man wave, to now we're going back to a dog. Really, come on,
a dog as a Build-A-Figure. That's bold. So it'd be if this is your thing, that's awesome. It's kind of weird that we're getting two waves back to back of figures that all look very similar. The X-Men wave, where they're all wearing the 1991 suit, and then now the Guardians, which are all wearing Guardian suits. Not as much diversity there. It's just very much the same stuff. But those are kind of the main things. We got this Luke Cage here, which just got announced recently.
The two hands. I mean, that price is killing.
2 hands is all you get. Come on, man.
I love that classic iconic Luke Cage. That's the Luke Cage I've been waiting for a very long time. But it's now they show up. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, not even an expressive head sculpt, something where he's.
I would have loved the grin. Or some accessory or something. I don't know,
something.
Yeah, I love the outfit. I hate the price.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I can see why people are so on the fence about whether or not they
Yeah.
want to continue collecting.
Yep.
A lot of other stuff out there we'll cover it
Yeah.
on our Motivation Monday. That's
Yes,
kind of
sir.
the main things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll go right into plastic confessions. What do you got?
I got it's like a half token. I did pick up something, and special shout out to Clean Slate Customs, aka Jesse. That guy's my boy. He looked out because man, his wife has like the sixth sense. She is, I think, must have been a toy hunter at one point. She has the best luck when she goes out there. So shout out to Adrian. She found a bunch of stuff from NECA from the holothon and was able to pick up Triceraton for me. So
Nice.
that's in transit. I'm waiting for that. So thanks again, Jesse. Clean Slate Customs. Go check him out. He's a freaking phenomenal customizer. I have one of his one and only customized fig that he did because he doesn't take commissions. But the dude's super massively talented. So yeah, I can't wait to get that in hand. Triceraton from the holothon from NECA.
Nice. Yeah, my plastic confession is also holothon related. Shout out to Mike, AZ Toy Hunters Guild. I didn't even know holothon was starting. I mentioned this already. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know that figures were already hitting. And then Mike's posting stuff in his story. Hey, this was found here. This was found here. And he's a local guy. So for me, that's super helpful because I know those certain locations that he's tagging. I'm like, oh, I know where that target is, or I know where this target is.
Yeah.
So I was waiting until I started seeing some around me. I did some hunting. And then sure enough, he saw somebody get that accessory set and DM me. He's like, hey, if you want it, like they have some.
Yeah.
So I ran down there and sure enough, I got the accessory set, which was my main one.
That's it. That's the next on my list.
Dude, this thing is incredible. The baby turtles.
Yeah.
As soon as I got it, they broke it out and I had to do shots with it. I was like instantly inspired.
Yeah.
Really awesome set. I got the Shredder clones.
Nice. That looks beefy. I love that.
Yeah, the beefy guy's cool. And this little guy, I'm going to have him interacting with the baby turtles. There's a mini Shredder in there.
Baby Shredder.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he came with that guy.
Yeah. Oops.
Damn. I might have to. God dang it, NECA. Just knock it off. Knock it off, NECA.
Well, I'm thinking like I'm going to have some shots with him and the baby turtles. Like,
that's fun.
Enemies in the making kind of thing. Plus, I've got that claw shredder from Loot Crate, so this kind of completes the three.
That looks
clones.
freaking awesome. Yeah, that looks awesome.
Cool. I got Triceraton as well.
Oh, look at that beefy boy.
He is huge. Very big figure.
As Toy Bros said, he's a thick boy.
He is. But I love the detailing, like the paint on these guys. They look great.
Like I wasn't that black wash that looks like he popped out of the comics. I freaking love that. It's like
I wasn't as much of a fan of the cartoon ones, but seeing this one, to your point, the black wash looks much more adult, I guess.
Oh, hello.
Not as
welcome to the adult section.
Cartoony. But yeah, I went kind of hard on Holothon. The last one I got was the black and white Usagi.
Ooh. Nice.
I remember we covered this on a Motivation Monday. I missed when Stan Saki did these.
Just scribble. Do your Sharpie.
Right. I'm just gonna put some red Sharpie. I got my Sharpies, guys. I'm prepared.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna put some red scribble.
Nasty Nate.
Yeah, it's
like,
signed.
There you go.
Yeah, I went heavy on Holothon.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Didn't think I was gonna get all that. I resisted from getting a lot of the 2-packs. Like I'm not as into the 2-packs in the cartoon stuff. It's more of the comics.
Yep.
Although I did get that accessory set that was huge.
Yeah, the accessory set.
Big shout out to you, Mike. Man,
that's awesome.
You were a big part of why I was able to be so successful with Holothon. So thank you. And shout out to you guys if you're out there still searching. Don't get too discouraged if you're not finding it. I think they're going to do restocks. Don't go to eBay and pay those scalper prices. It's not worth it.
Don't do that.
And on the 3rd, they're going to start dropping this stuff online. There's a good chance you'll see that accessory pack online or some of the other stuff. So if you're really after something, just hold on.
And NECA's really good about the distribution.
Exactly. They're good about distribution. They're good about doing reissues. Or you might see it go on the NECAstore.com at some point.
Yep.
I get that everybody wants the stuff and they want it now. But like just be patient. You'll get it. I promise. All right. Nasty Nate's dirty trick for the week. This one really just comes up after my discussion with Trevor. I got to hang out with Legion's Lounge. We're talking about toy photography.
Yeah.
And it's just something that you need to remind yourself. If you're getting into toy photography, you've never done it before, keep things simple. Keep it simple. Focus, like if you're getting into toy photography, the thing you should really be doing is focusing on a single subject, and try to get that right. Try to get the lighting right. Do it with one figure. Maybe do like just a portrait of the face or something, or keep it simple. Because I see a lot of people sometimes when they get started, they're trying to do these big shots with a bunch of figures and action.
Yeah. I had like 4 figures all in the frame, and it looked like trash.
It's hard. It's a lot harder than you realize.
Yeah.
Even doing a picture with one and getting it right is tough. So you add 2 or 3 more into that compounds the difficulty. It gets even worse. So yeah, if you're just starting out, just keep it simple. Focus on your lighting. Don't
keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Don't buy crazy lights. Maybe start with one lamp. See if you can get that. Maybe do 2.
Yeah.
Just get the shots the way that you want them. Focus on posing.
Yeah.
Don't go too crazy, because you can become easily discouraged by doing too much and trying too hard at first. You got to see if you even have a passion for it.
Yeah.
So if you can get those shots and you're enjoying it, maybe try something else that's a bit more difficult, like a little bit of action or a different pose, and then kind of build on to those bigger, more complex shots.
Where were you years ago when I posted my first shot? I was doing too much. I was I had like 4. Literally, I was trying to do like a shot of Spider-Man. I had all these different. I had a bunch of Spider-Man, right? But I wanted to show him like kicking one dude, and like, and some of the toy photographers, like they would use. Think about it. They would use the same Spider-Man figure to show like, oh, he kicked this guy, then he flipped, and he did. But I didn't have the same one. Like I had just a bunch of different ones. So it looked horrible. It looked horrible.
Well, it's tough. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And you see a shot that you're trying to recreate. You're like, oh, this looks so badass. I really want to make that my own. And then you realize like, wow, there's a lot more that goes into this than you thought there was.
That's when I understood why is it that some photographers get like 4 or 5 of this one character to make them like and obviously there's other ways of doing it like Photoshop, but this particular shot it was done tangible, so they had like I think it was Captain America. They had like 4 Captain Americas but in different poses, so it showed like his like where he started, where he went, like you could kind of follow it, and I was like, oh damn, it looks really cool. I did the same thing with the Spider-Man, but it was executed poorly. So yeah, that's an awesome tip to keep it simple.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully that helps you guys too out there. All right. And last but certainly not least is our Figure Aficionado.
Heyo.
This week, we have...
What do we have? Drum roll.
KDAUZ 27.
Ooh.
He might have a different way of saying that. Kadaz 27, maybe?
Kadoosh.
His quote, when the world tells you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell them, no, you move.
Oh,
I like
snap. I like that.
That's deep.
That is deep.
Yeah, this guy's doing some really great photography. One of them that Prime.
Oh, there you go. See? Look at that. Freaking amazing. I love it.
This looks fantastic.
Eventually, it fits. It always does.
Eventually, it fits. It always does. Very loaded phrase. But yes,
you'll find the right fit.
You can put a bunch of figures in one shot just by doing something like this. Take individual photos and then piece them together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm loving the posing on these. The different kinds of Spider-Man he put in here gives me the Spider-Verse vibes.
Yeah,
I really like this Swamp Thing shot.
Yeah,
the atmosphere. And it's fairly simple. I think he's using a digiorama there in the background. Some
BTS
fake foliage in the front.
That's cool.
Yeah, it just goes to show it doesn't have to be super complicated setup. It can be something that's simple, and you get a shot like this.
Yeah,
and really sells the scene. He did some Green Lantern work.
Yeah,
love the green coloring there, really accentuating the effects that are going on. This flash shot is badass. I just love the close-up.
Look at that, making a Toddy Mac figure look awesome. Man,
if you can make a Toddy Mac figure look
Hey,
good. You're doing something
you're
right.
the figure aficionado if you can make a Tony Mac figure look good. Love
Shout
that
out to
Modoc
Aesthetic,
one.
by the way.
That Modoc one is badass. It's just
Where is
a
it?
little bit lower. Oh, you skipped it. Go up.
Oops.
Keep going. And then
Oh, there it is. Yes.
that
I like
Modoc
that.
is just badass.
Yeah, really cool.
And again, like diversity, you got Flash in one shot, you got Modoc, you got some Spider-Man, a little bit of everything. Like I freaking love it.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
I really like this one too. This Kang shot with Captain America.
Oh, look at that Cap, and Cap looks like he's done. He's barely hanging.
Seriously,
on.
he's out.
Yeah. Again,
really
the
great.
posing's on point.
The posing is really good to sell this scene about what's going on here. Just the posing alone tells me. Yeah. Awesome work, dude. If you guys aren't following him, please go follow him. KDAUZ27 does some amazing work. Has some pretty great mottos that he lives by.
Kadoosh 22.
Kadoosh. You heard it here first. That's how you pronounce it. But yeah, shout out to you, man. Keep killing
work,
it, dude.
my dude.
And if you guys want to, if you guys have a friend that you're following and you want to see them get recognized on the show, DM us, comment, let us know who they are. We will feature them on the show. We always try to do that as much as possible. We actually prefer you guys to tell us who to feature. So please do that. We love to hear feedback from you. And sadly, that's the end of the show, everyone.
We've come to the end. But we're glad you're still here. And if you are, let us know what you thought. Make sure you crush that like. Make sure you spread the word. Tell the person in front of you, next to you, behind you. Tell them, come and join the party. The water is perfect on this.
Tell your friends, your in-laws, Sunday, your grandparents.
Sunday, or whatever day you're watching it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But and we appreciate you.
Subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the Figure Booth on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we post new content. Post new episodes on Sundays. Go live every other Monday for Motivation Monday. Got another one coming up here soon. But yeah, thank you guys for all your support on our past episodes. If you missed those, go check them out. We're getting some great feedback on that. So we're glad you guys are enjoying them. If there's a topic that you guys want us to talk about, let us know. That's where this one came from. So shout out to you, Albert. Thank you for the idea. Prime, where can they find you?
You guys can catch me all under Prime to the First on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
You guys can find me at FigureFanNate on Facebook, Instagram. I'll say Vero, even though I don't really use that anymore. But yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks,
we'll catch you next time.
Till next time.